Hi, this is Randy from XeniaLights. You can see me on XeniaLights.com or Facebook under XeniaLights. You can also see me at doityourselfchristmas.com or DIYchristmas.org. I'm on both sites and can be reached on either one. Wanted to do a walkthrough for 2013. Thought I would start with the show computer. The computer I am using is just a Dell desktop. It is a Pentium D running at 2.8 gigahertz. 32-bit operating system and 3 gigabytes of RAM. I am running Vixen 2.1. This may be the last year that I use 2.1. I haven't quite decided yet. In addition to Vixen 2.1, I also used HLS, Henkel's Light System, for face animations, and I've also used XeniaLights Nutcracker to do some effects on my Mega Tree. I run 3 networks off of here. I run 2 XB networks from ComPorts. You can see one at the top with a little larger antenna, and then one of the other one. They're both XB Pros, just with 1-inch antenna on the bottom, and I run about 200 channels on each of those networks. Within my house, I've set up multiple networks, and you can't quite see the WRG54 back there, but I have a network called XLS. That's what I run the show off of. I have another network called XeniaLights. That's my inside network that I also connect back to work with. And then my third network is XLS Video, which is what I run video cameras from. So just wanted to show you kind of the area that I work from. My radio transmitter is an EDM transmitter. These might be a little bit pricey, but I'm at about I believe $49 or $269 each, but they are crystal clear. I have an antenna in my attic, and I use a quarter wave antenna running at about 10 milliwatts. I get 2 solid blocks and out to maybe a quarter mile, but 2 solid blocks where it's perfectly clear, then out to a quarter mile. If I crank that up to about 30 milliwatts, I can cover the whole plat and go out to about a mile. So very good transmitter, and I would recommend those to anybody who wanted to invest a little bit more in their transmitter for quality music and quality transmissions. Little Sangean radio here in the back that I use just so I know if the music's playing and things are going correctly. Next to that is just an old Dell laptop, and that's my backup computer in case I need to switch networks. One of the things I do unique that Yuki Warrior said I ought to say something about, I keep all of my files in Dropbox. Within Dropbox I have 3 directories. I have one called Vixen Christmas, one called Vixen Halloween, and then I have one called Vixen Productions. So everything I do in terms of programming initially is done in Vixen Productions. And then when I'm ready to do the Halloween show, I transfer just the sequences that I need for the Halloween show into the Vixen Halloween directory, and when I'm ready to do Christmas, I do just the Christmas shows that I want to do into the Vixen Christmas directory. An interesting thing is I can open Vixen Productions while the show is running and direct myself to the sequences under the Vixen Christmas directory, and I can edit those directories on the fly without disturbing the program, because the program has those loaded in files. So then once I save them, if I want those changes to take effect, then I need to stop the program and restart it. But that's kind of nice and do it. But everything is on Vixen in Dropbox, and the nice thing about that is that means I can work on it up here in the show computer, I can work on it downstairs at my workshop desktop, or I can work on it at my desktop at work. So it's great to have everything portable like that. Still waiting to see what's going to happen with Vixen 3, and I also do the same thing with HLS. I can run it off of Dropbox also. So I'm not sure about Vixen 3 yet, and haven't worked with that enough, but anyway, it's kind of a unique way to do things that makes sure that all my files are always available no matter where I'm at. So this is the outside of my house and the outside display as it's set up for this year. I'm running about 40,000 lights total. As I said, inside I'm running 2 XB networks. In addition to running the 2 XB networks, I'm running one E1.31 network. So we'll look at each of those. I'll start out here with my donation box. My donation box is constructed by me. It's just really constructed out of 1x3s, 2x4s, and some coroplast. I then have the bottom wrapped in red and white incandescent rope. It goes up through the top and lights up the inside. The lettering just came from Walmart. It's just stick-on lettering. The little Christmas trees came from Kelly Burns, or KY Christmas. He was making those available for the way back, and I was lucky enough to get some of those. Inside of that you will see a lock box, and that lock box is where I secure my donations, and it's nice. It has a little file on the side that can hold envelopes or information or whatever you need. Next to that is one of my two Tune 2 signs. These are the Shindig signs. I have two of these. I think I paid $0 for this smaller one with about $4.95 shipping, and the other one I also got on sale, and I think I paid about $8 on it plus about $4.95 shipping. Next to that I have 5 Christmas trees, and I have these on each side of the yard to anchor it. These Christmas trees are Walmart Christmas trees. They retail for $39.99. I picked up 16 of them last year after Christmas for $7.50 each. One of the things I did that's a little unique about these is that I knocked the base off of them and cut 10 inches off of them and then put the base back on so that they would sit low to the ground so they look more like a regular shrub. These trees came with 400 incandescent lights. To that I added 200 each of red, green, and blue for a total of 1,000 lights per tree. The red, green, and blue are commercial grade LEDs from Magic in the Sky, and those have worked out very, very well. These 5 trees are run by an SS24. Each of my SS24s and 16s, or all my Renard boxes, are covered with a coroplast cover just to keep them dry. I had some problems with GCFI kicks last year, so this year I decided to take an extra precaution, and I've actually only had one GCFI kick this whole season, which has been very, very nice. Moving on up here, I have my shrubs all wrapped in in Sam's LEDs. They come 200 to a reel. Those are really nice for this type. You get 200 of them, and after Christmas sales you can get them for about $9, where they're normally $19.99 before Christmas. A couple boxes over here. Got a Ren SS8 in a CG box, and then a mini Ren 8 XLSD that runs my flood for my sign, and also a small CG box. The garage size of the house is just wrapped in LEDs, the icicles, and then they're also a single strand at the top so I can get a jumping effect a la Holman. Are also MITS lights and LEDs, so I expect to get some good service out of that. 6-foot wreath in the center and a couple of 15-inch wreaths on the sides. This is 2 of my TIR Destiny floods. These were made available in a group buy last year. Most of them came with bad power supplies. I had 7 of them ready to go. 2 of those have gone down during the season, and they happen to be the 2 that I did not replace the power supplies in. They worked when I originally got them, but evidently they were on the verge of going, so I will need to fix those. I run these with an RPM bridge, and for the DMX addressing. So this is my nativity scene. I really like this. This is manufactured by Teak Isle. Teak Isle is a boat manufacturing company out of Florida that manufactures these as a side business. They actually started doing it for friends, and then it expanded from there. But it's made out of marine plastic, so this is the 2nd year. It looks like it's brand new. It looks like it's clean. It comes with everything you need to set it up, and I really like it. I wanted it to stand out a little more this year, so I set it up with 5 white spiral trees on either side, and they work really well. And it's kind of interesting because next to that I have my arches. So I have 4 large arches. They're 16 foot. They're 8 segments each. There's 200 lights per segment or per channel, and they're kind of in line with the trees, so when I do a chase, I can do a chase all the way across the yard, including the spiral trees. So that's pretty cool. The spiral trees are run with a Renard SS16. It's in a white coral box that is just behind the nativity scene, so it blends in at night and works out very, very well. Behind my nativity scene on my porch, I'll come around here, is my 4 coral faces. These are slightly different than what you see. They are sort of a take on some of what you see from holiday coral, but I went online, got some different graphics, and did them myself. So the Christmas tree is a little bit different in design and shape. It's also got a package around it so that I can turn a package on either by itself or with the faces while they're singing. These are 5 mouth position faces. Then I have Santa Claus next to that, and then next to that is my elf to go with Santa Claus, and then my second tree, icicles on the house, wreaths on the front porch to give it a nicer look. And then between each of the faces, on each side of each faces, are my coral columns. These coral columns are really cool and one of the best features in my display, and the one I get the most compliments on. I made these. They're made out of coroplast. I used a 1x6 cedar back just as an anchor, covered the cedar with black coroplast, and then I made 5.5-inch sections with a black coroplast baffle between each section, and then surrounded it with the white. The front part of the coroplast is actually scored, so it's only 1 thickness thick instead of 2 like the normal coroplast is. I have 18 WS2801 square modules. Now each of these square modules has 4 50/50 LEDs in them, and so they're nice and bright at night. That means that each of these is 54 channels, and times 5 is 120 channels to, that's not right. There's 18 per column, 18 LEDs, pixels, and 5 of those, which is 90 times 3, so there's 270 channels to run the columns. The columns are run, and I'll walk around here, with the Sandevice's E682, and I keep that just in a hefty storage box. So you can see in that there I just have the E682 and a power supply, and that is just one of the power supplies that you can get from DIY LED Express, and that works out very well, and it runs all 5 columns with the 1 power supply, so it's no problem. You can see I'm using the waterproof connections that also came from DIY LED Express. Next to that, I was talking earlier about my TIR Destiny floods. This is my RPM bridge, and the RPM bridge is just set up in an orbit box. Nice thing about these orbit boxes is that they came with a socket set, or a outlet built into them, so they're kind of nice in terms of when you're doing things. But this is the older RPM bridge. This is not the 6-port one that DIY LED Express offers now, but we got one of the older ones that came from RPM. For outside music, I use a SoundPex radio. You can pick one of these up at Kmart for $59. They're just so-so in quality, but for outside and what I'm using, it works out just fine. So that gives enough music that I keep it loud enough so if you're standing on the sidewalk you can hear what's going on, but if you're across the street you actually don't hear it. So been fortunate to have not had any complaints from my neighbors about my lights or the sounds or anything else or traffic, so been real fortunate in that respect so far. On top of my house I have a Holdman Star. This is just made with LEDs that I actually picked up at Lowe's my first year, and it's just a standard LED star. It's about 5.5 foot tall. I have a Renard SS8 up there that runs that, and it seems to work out very well. Right next to it is my mega tree. It's an 18-foot mega tree. It has 16 straight white strands. It has 16 straight multi-strands. It has a red spiral inside. It has a white spiral inside, both 16 channels. In addition, it has a fire stick up the middle that is 6 channels, and then there are 4 strands of 8 strobes, and so there's 4 channels of 8 strobes that help run that. This is made with the heavier duty EMT, so it's not the standard EMT that you get at Lowe's, but this is the heavier dutier, and it's real strong. It's kind of nice. I use the pulley system, and at the top I have a 24 hook head that works out very well with it. It's guy wired in 4 directions, and one of the things I thought I did kind of unique is my guy wire comes back down here above the shrub, and I don't know if you can see it, but I actually split it above the shrub so that the guy wires go on each side of the shrubs. The controllers are a combination of SS24s. They're sitting under this underhang. Can't see it real well. This underhang underneath my tri-level, and then I have a piece of coroplast just sitting and scored so it sits at an angle to keep any water, snow, or whatever off of the controller. The controllers are my fence posts, Renard SS24s, and then a couple of 16s that are just in the standard orbit boxes. So I use a combination of orbit boxes and CGs, but this has been awesome this season. By putting it back underneath the overhang like this and just putting this piece of coroplast on it, I have not had a single problem with my megatree. I have not had a single GCFI kick, and I have not had a single strand come on and stay on like I did last year, so that's pretty cool. For my base, a little bit different. I have a wire reel that you get from an electrical company or whatever, and use that as my base, and that works out real well. Just use some EMT on the top and some U-bolts to anchor it all together, and some rebar and that kind of stuff, and it's rock solid, and I really like the way that designs. It gives me a trunk look also. For power, this is my second year, so power for my first year, I ran 4 20 amp outlets. I have 2 on each side of the tri-level. Each of the 4 outlets has, each of the 20 amp circuits has 4 outlets, and that allows me to separate my display into different areas, and since I'm about 80% LED, it has worked very well. Next to that, I just have a tree that's wrapped from top to bottom. It's got about 1,000 lights, and once again, those are just the Walmart LEDs that come 200 to a pack. On each side of my mega tree, I have 4 trees. They each have 1,000 lights on them. Again, red, green, blue, and white. I call them my octave because anytime I'm doing something where I'm mimicking notes, I'm able to use those to light up for each of the notes. And they sit behind the 4 arches that I had mentioned earlier. And again, these arches are 16 feet. I'm sorry, these arches are 12 foot long. They were originally 16 foot. Last year decided they were too large, and I reduced them in size to 12. They still have 8 sections each. Each section is 18 inches, and each section has 200, again, Walmart LED lights. There is a Renard SS16 for each pair of the arches, and I get a lot of compliments on these because they're on 1-inch PVC, and then with 200 lights per segment, they are really full, and they're really bright. Here is my other Tune sign, and the 5 trees on the opposite, just like the ones on the other side. My Tune signs and my nativity scene are all lit with DIYC floods. These are double floods, and they're just in the 500 watt halogen fixtures that you can get at Lowe's or Freightliner or whatever, so that's kind of standard. On top of my roof, I have 9 snowflakes. These are made out of coroplast, and then I use 1x3s to create a pancake that I can open up to whatever angle I want. They're just weighted down with sandbags. They are 100 white LEDs per snowflake. This is the pattern that Bell Elroy 11 Bruce Williams adapted from somebody else's, so that it takes exactly 100 lights, and they are really great and do a nice job at night, and it's fun to be able to sequence those. So this is my display for 2013, and since Christmas is now over, I am actively deciding what I'm going to do for next year, and I know that I pretty much want to do a pixel border. I am also trying to decide whether I want to do a pixel grid on my garage or something on that line. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, maybe learned something, and thanks for listening and watching.